This is a very nerdy conversation.
It is, even
I
for
can't.
us.
I can't contribute to this at all.
Yeah, I can't either.
I know what you're talking about.
Feeling that sound's gonna make it into the intro.
Ding, 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 ding.
Welcome everybody to episode 40 of the Four Dorksmen podcast. I'm your host, Nate, aka Angry Nate.
This is your captain speaking.
Do you have a name?
Nope. You just
Okay.
call
His
me
name is Captain.
You just
All
call me
Aye, Captain.
All right, this is Collector Clint.
This is Ryan, Asian Tony Stark.
And we are joined by a very special two-time guest, our first two-time guest this week. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, it's Gary.
Yay, Gary's back.
Hey.
Gary's
Gary!
back.
I
Yes, he's back.
don't know if I want to be referred to as a two-timer though.
Oh,
He's here for
that
sloppy
sounds kind of
seconds.
bad. Yeah.
multi-time friend.
Is it gonna be like Saturday Night Live eventually, where like they'll start competing, and like maybe if you get to 5, you get like a special prize.
You get a
to
smoker's
5.
jacket.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of.
We should do that. We should get like some kind of digital like Hall of Fame of
Yeah.
guests.
Well, you can put. Here's what we'll do. We'll give you a 4D emblem you can put on the boards for fanatics, and then you can say
That,
you posted 5 times.
that won't help me because I'm
It
not
won't help me either,
Yeah.
but anyway.
Slackers.
Anyway, Gary, we're happy to have you back on.
Yes.
Yes,
to be
thank you
here.
for coming.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Gary. A couple of quick housekeeping things before we jump too far into it. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at _Dorksmen. Make sure you email us if you want to. We actually got an email the other day from a company that wants to advertise with us, so we'll talk about that offline, which I just remembered right now. But yeah, dorksmen@gmail.com. So make sure you email us. We'll actually learn to read them now. But yeah, thank you to everyone that participated in the Dorksmen Photo a Day contest.
Yes.
We had so much fun checking out everyone's photos and everything. It was honestly so great. So we'll get the prizes sent out to the winners very shortly. We are, kind of stuck and kind of locked down right now, but we'll do our best to get everything packaged up and sent out. Just in case you guys didn't know, the winners in first place, we had Hiroka's Bane. Shout out to Drew. Second place was Dustman1138. I think he was on Instagram. And third place, Jane Coke. So thank you guys for
Jane
participating.
Coke. Good.
Yeah, Jay's got a crazy collection. Love seeing his photos. Love seeing
Yes.
kind of everything that he's
He's
got.
got such a wide mixture of all kinds of different stuff.
Oh,
too.
so much
Yeah,
good,
you know,
and good
so much
stuff.
stuff.
So much
Yeah.
stuff I didn't know existed till Jake shared it.
I think he literally buys everything that comes out collectible wise every month. If you've seen his Instagram posts where he posts like his
crazy.
monthly hauls, it's insane how much
I
stuff he
have
gets.
to admit though, he is the most generous person.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
He's a very good dude. Very good
Yeah,
dude.
you do any of those like gift exchanges, he goes above and beyond every time, and you feel bad but happy when you get him.
I think
So
Jay must live inside the TARDIS.
Yep.
Because I don't know where he keeps all that stuff, but his hauls are so impressive each time he posts a picture.
yeah. So but
Have you seen his pop wall? And like his pop wall is like 3 or 4 deep. So it's not just like, it's like literally an entire wall, but it's also like not just a wall. It's like a wall within a wall, which is
it's he does a really good job displaying it, I think.
Yeah.
he does. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm glad. Shout out to the winners and thank you to everyone who participated because I mentioned this on the pre-party. You nailed the pictures. I didn't expect the amount of effort that a lot of people put in and that everybody put in, and they came out really nice and they were fun to see and bring a smile to my face. So thank you guys for doing it. We might have to do it again.
Yeah, I think we definitely will. We'll think of something. We might not be able to do prizes as extravagant as this each time with a big pop haul, but we'll definitely think of something. We'll definitely let you guys know once we kick off another one. Dorksmenbingo.com. Make sure you're playing along. Shout out to Larry from the STS guys and the Totally Rad Movie Pod for updating that for us, and Andrew Newbeerlin for always updating the squares. And if you got any more squares, make sure you shout them out, and we'll definitely get those in there.
Yeah, major shouts out to Andrew because he's been on that, I guess we'll call it a bingo rampage recently, where he launched
Bingo Rampage. I like
he
that.
launched one for the STS guys. He's currently working on one for Geek Together. So our whole Nerds Unite network all has bingo.
which is awesome. They're fun.
which is super awesome. So thank you so much, Andrew.
And the STS guys premiered theirs last night. And they did a good job not forcing them like we do.
Not yet. Although I do have to say shout out to Scott and Larry for that creepy old guy saying ha 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 bingo.
It's like a pirate.
Completely caught me off guard the first time. I was like, that's some pretty funny shit.
That was actually really hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like Pirate Clint is what I
Pirate Clint.
just Pirate
Shiver me
Clint,
timbers.
just
Arr.
creeping around, screaming bingo in your ear.
Yar.
But yeah, so let's get into it. Ask the Dorksmen. Thank you everybody for your constant questions. We do like to have a backlog. I've been slacking a bit on Twitter. As you guys might have noticed, this is like we missed a week last week in recording. We had some personal things come up with a few of us, and we appreciate everyone
Along
bearing
with
with
some acts
us.
of God. So
Yeah, and some there was an act of God with the weather as well, and but we do appreciate everyone that reached out. We're all good. We're happy to be here. We're 40 fucking episodes into this thing, and that honestly blows my mind. But yeah,
Congrats, guys. That's pretty impressive.
we're
Thanks,
happy. We're
guys.
happy with it. Apparently, we're not. So we feel bad missing a week, but we don't plan on doing that again for a while. So
or this is the
God
last
permitting,
episode
of
ever.
course.
yes, I mean, of course.
Nobody
Yeah.
gets struck by lightning, please.
Not again, anyways.
Now you tell me.
Yeah. So our first question this week from Manny. How did you start in the geek fandom, and what was your first geeky podcast you started listening to? So we'll start with, I guess we can start with our captain, because this is your captain speaking.
As far as I'll answer the podcast part first, because that's probably the simplest part, and that was the Funko Funcast. That was the first one that I listened to, and that's when I started collecting Funko. I've probably told this story before, so I'll just tell a short version. So McGuire, my son, started collecting first, and then I kind of picked up a couple of years after he did, which I still regret waiting that long because I missed out on a bunch of stuff that's very expensive now. But yeah, so started, listening to the Funcast after that. When I got into like collecting and being geeky like stuff, I mean, is it collectible specific, or is he just talking about being geeky in general? Because that's been like all my life.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I think it's not so much like, I mean, collectibles is generally more when you're a bit older, have a bit more disposable income, because you couldn't
Right.
buy stuff like this as a kid, right? Like you just got the toys your parents got you or whatever, and you played the shit out of them.
Yeah.
So I would say like once, I guess either or really.
Yeah, but it's probably the first thing I collected was like, as far as collecting it not to be a toy, but collecting it to be put up on a shelf or put it on a wall would probably be sometime, I guess, around middle school when I started doing like sports memorabilia collecting.
Nice.
So that'd probably be my first thing. What was the line called? All-Star Lineup or Star Lineup? The sports figures.
The
I'll have to-
McFarlane ones?
No. I'll have to Google it here in a second.
Oh, okay.
I want to say it was Upper Deck, but it might not be. So, like getting the Michael Jordan of that, and just, baseball, football,
You're right. It is
basketball
Upper
cards.
Deck. I remember them now because they had like the basketball court underneath with
Yeah,
Jordan. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I've got a court to go with the Jordan
Yeah.
one. So that was probably my foray into it.
Cool. How about you, Clint?
So I'm trying to think, going back, the same thing. Mine was I did do basketball cards. That was a big one, but that then led me to a lot of different Marvel and DC cards, which I think I enjoyed collecting more. I remember Marvel had a really cool set. It was all X-Men, villains, heroes, etc. And it really gave an in-depth description about all the different characters, their powers, etc. on the back. And I really enjoyed learning that. I wasn't a big comic book reader, but I loved, that they had these ideas and how they interacted and fun facts and so on. So I'd say that was got me really on board with the superhero kick if I had to pick. Otherwise, it's just The Simpsons and animation, and then it all blew up from there.
How about you, Gary?
So I've been like Joey, I've been a geek most of my life, right? But the first time I actually probably picked something up was so I've been a comic collector for 35 plus years now. So that's probably the thing that shaped my geek life most is comic books. I picked one up when I was like on a school trip out in Eastern Canada, and as part of our little welcome package that we got, it was like a $2 coupon to a used bookstore, and so that's where I picked up my first comic books, and that just started me on that journey. But I never really started collecting like figures and stuff like that until 2015 with the Hulkbuster pop from the Collector Core. And that was my foray into Funko and just the collecting community in general, and that's of course gotten out of control now.
Preach, brother.
Preaching to the choir.
Yeah, and that's what also the first podcast, like Joey, the first podcast I ever listened to was the Funko Funcast, and I've been listening to that since the first episode. Because I'd never really thought about podcasting as a form of entertainment, and I saw that and I thought, you know what, let me just give it a shot and see what they're talking about. It was kind of cool. So yeah, that's me.
I realized I didn't answer that question. The Nerd Foo was my first one, followed closely by the Funko Funcast as well.
So what came first, the Nerd Foo or the Funko Funcast?
Nerd Foo.
So like
Nerd Foo chronologically came much sooner, much earlier.
It's actually part of the reason why he was hired rather at Funko. I'm sorry. If you catch that, Sully, I'm sorry for my slip up there.
Ryan's like spreading rumors.
Yeah,
now.
spreading rumors. No, so Sully was actually talking about this on the game stream candidly the other night. He was saying that part of it, the discussion when he was going through the hiring process at Funko, is they asked him, "So, what do you need for us to start a podcast?" And he literally started working on the Funcast, I think, the week after he got hired. So
That's awesome.
that was part of the deal.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Didn't
Yeah.
know that part.
Worked out well for him.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, definitely did. How about you, Ryan? What's your start in the geek fandom?
I would probably say around the ages of 7 to 9. I wasn't as heavy into comic books as Gary was, but I did enjoy Marvel comics, some DC stuff. I was digging through my stash last year, and I actually found an old Simpsons comic that I actually gifted to a friend of mine, since he's a huge Simpsons fan. So I knew he'd appreciate it more than me. I think this was before we started the podcast, though, Clint. So,
right, fair
in my
enough.
defense, yeah,
I do have some Simpsons comics. So.
if that was the case, then yeah, I probably would have sent it your way. But yeah, definitely between the ages of 7 and 9, possibly 10, is when I started collecting them. I started collecting sports cards unusually, because even though I'm not really into sports now, I did like baseball. I like the trivia part of it. My dad is a longtime baseball fan, as is my mom. So we used to talk about this kind of stuff, and he would like quiz me on trivia and whatnot. So that led me into collecting cards. And then I started collecting Marvel cards, which I don't know if this is the same set that you were talking about, Clint, but there was like all the different weapons, like Daredevil's Billy Club, Infinity Gauntlet, Ultimate Nullifier, and they had all the stats on the back of it, right?
I do remember
Mandarin's
those too.
rings
Yep.
and all of those things. So I actually still have some of those cards somewhere. What's that?
Was that from Topps?
No, I don't think so. These were like Marvel. Marvel.
Oh, they
comic
might have been
cards.
they might have been Upper Deck too.
Oh,
I know Upper Deck did some
Upper
cards
Deck
too.
built out too.
I should
That's
find
the
them.
ones I collected were the Jim Lee ones. I wonder if that was what you were talking about, Clint, because Jim Lee did or they put out a Jim Lee collection, an X-Men collection.
I'll have to look. I was like, I was in elementary school. I didn't care who the author was. I just wanted to learn more about comic books, heroes and villains.
I have them around my house somewhere, so I'll try to find them.
Yeah, I
and
still
take
have
a
mine
picture of
too. I know exactly where they are.
I
And
don't
as far
know
as
where
the-
my cards are.
As far as the podcast goes, mine was actually also the Funcast, and I started listening to it shortly after Fun Days back in 2018. Shout out to Chris Masicampo, because when we were in line waiting for Fun Days, he was asking me, "Do you listen to the Funcast?" Because we were talking about like Cam, Yoko, Sully, etc., like that, and I'm like, "No, I've actually never listened to it before." And actually, after being there at Fun Day, seeing them all rush on the stage and all of that stuff, I'm like, "Oh, this is cool. I should definitely give them a listen." And from that following week, once we came back to Hawaii, I was like, diehard listener.
Did you start from the beginning, or did you start from the most recent?
I started at the most recent, and I don't think I've listened to every episode going all the way back, but I have gone back and started listening to like episodes 1 through 10, etc., like that. I don't know
I don't
where
think
I
I never-
missed. You
I should
should.
do that.
You
Yeah.
definitely should.
Yeah.
I think as podcasters now, we can appreciate how much they've grown, same way that we've grown a lot since our first episode.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, I think like same thing as a lot of you guys. It was comics and stuff as a kid. Like I never really collected comics as a kid, but my cousins did. So whenever I went to go hang out with them, I would always just read as many comics as I could, or kind of go through their collection. And I guess it was just the cartoons and stuff really drew me to like Marvel and DC and just like superheroes in general. So I think like for sure, like my start in geek fandom would have been started like way early when I was a kid. But again, collecting wise, definitely much like Ryan, I did a lot of baseball cards, a lot of hockey card collecting growing up. Never had a lot of figures. Like I never collected any of the sports figures like you did, Joey. But for collectibles, it was definitely, I don't remember when, but like just walking to the local comic store and seeing Funkos and just picking up a couple, and it just from there it just got terribly out of hand. But at the point too, it's just like I tell the story all the time. It's like I just kick myself for not picking up more in the beginning, thinking
Same.
like like it was just like, oh, these are cool, and but like they didn't look great in the beginning, like for some of them, and it was just like, but why? Like why not just buy them and hang on to them? And they're all in box. Like I should have just kept everything.
Yeah.
That's a whole different episode of regrets.
Angry Nate's coming out.
Yeah, but it's like it's one of those things too. It's like now I know better, but then now that I know, I feel like the next big thing I'm gonna miss out on because there won't be something like that. And it's like now I know how to collect,
my friend.
Yeah, now that I know how to collect, I feel like it's not gonna work out the way that Funko blew up is the way it did, right? So but that's another discussion for another time.
But you have a lot of sentimental tie to everything that you own right now.
Right.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely
the more important thing. I mean,
Yeah,
we talk
absolutely.
about, quote unquote value of your collection. You can look at PPG and all of that bullshit nowadays. But at the end of the day, it's really how much happiness does it give you to look at your collection and say, I own this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, to each their own. I'm not going to sell it in my case.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that
But-
I highly value. But yeah, sentimental.
You also
man.
can't put a price on 40 episodes of the Four Dorksmen podcast that have come from Funko Collecting. Anyways,
Right.
Yeah.
shameless plug for episode 40.
What about your first podcast?
Funcast. Funko
Funcast,
Funcast, yeah. It was just one of those things, like, it was just like Ryan, it was like, oh, I didn't know they had a podcast. And it was like, you go back and listen to it and you're like, okay, this is amazing. Like they talk about everything that I want to hear people talk about. And it was relevant. It was funny. It was really well put together. And it was really awesome. Like you guys said, just watching them grow as social media personalities, as I would say some of them, I would call them friends, and as even just as collectors and as podcasters, right? So it's always great to see.
Yeah. And
What I
before
like
we
about
move
the-
on,
I was hoping your origin or your fandom was you kept turning giant and green when you got angry, and then you learned there was another comic about that, and so you fell in love with it. But
Nate
No.
is the actually original Hulk, right?
that's
So-
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say before.
I
Sorry.
did look up the name. It's the starting lineup figures. I don't know
Oh,
if any of
okay.
y'all
I
had
remember
those.
I know what you're
Oh,
talking about. Yeah.
And it's actually by Kenner. I was wrong about the upper deck, but it was actually
Hmm.
Kenner that made them. And I had a few. The only one I know of that I still have is Jordan, but I've got the little basketball court that goes
Oh, nice.
with it too. I need to get him down because he's stuck up in the attic right now. I'm watching the Last Dance documentary on ESPN right now, and it's bringing back a lot of memories from the '90s.
Do you
Is
guys
it a new
still have
episode?
the first collect? Sorry, Nate, I interrupted.
No, go ahead. No, yeah.
I was going to say, do you guys still have your first collectible or the first thing that you ever
Oh.
purchased? Like, do you guys still have that?
I have a lot of my old toys. I took some pictures for the guys, like my old Ninja Turtle stuff.
I do have some. That's probably the only toys which weren't collectibles at the time, because if they were, they would have stayed in the container. But that's what I have left still is just my Ninja Turtle stuff,
That's
because I
true,
passed
those
it down
were
to my
toys.
son. Yeah. As far as collectibles, yeah, I still have a good bit of my card collection and stuff boxed up in the attic. So yeah, I still have. Now, what the very first thing, I'm not sure, but I mean, I still have a good bit of that first run of getting stuff, I guess, if you would.
Not that the viewers can see these, but I have. I've got to pick up the right one here. I still have my McDonald's Happy Meal toys that are collectibles
nice.
now. That
Yeah, you were just talking about this on
Transform
Oh,
from
the
SES.
hamburgers.
Transformers.
Yeah.
ones
Yeah,
are
the
the best
transforming
together.
hamburgers.
you know, I got the hamburgers, the French fry one. I mean, they're so beat up because we played with them, but
yeah.
I still got them, so I guess that counts. But other
Yeah,
than
The
that,
crazy
that's
thing
count.
is those are so sought after now that if you have a
Yeah,
complete
they are.
set, they fetch crazy amounts of money.
Yeah.
I do not.
Especially if you have the international stuff, like the stuff from Japan. Those are crazy priced. But anyway, earlier I was gonna say, before we move on, referencing back to our discussion about the Funcast and everything, one of the things that really kept me listening initially after that first episode is when I heard them mention people's names. So like first episode I listened to, they mentioned Chris Masicampo because he sent in an email and they read his question. I love the fact that they were engaging with the fans. And it really kind of set the tone for everybody else to follow, right? Because obviously we're an offshoot of that. We're like the Frasier to their Cheers, if you will.
Yeah, I mean,
Great comparison.
I remember the first time they mentioned my name on the Funcast. It was I little known fact that people probably don't realize. I was the bad dad jokes section. Way back early, Sully did one joke and he told people, write in and share some jokes. And so I wrote in. That was I think the first time I communicated with them, and I sent in one of the first bad dad jokes.
Awesome.
That was my thing too.
Next episode.
I loved sending in bad dad jokes.
Yeah, and that's so and it's true. Hearing your name on it, it's kind of it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
totally.
That really was the catalyst
The
to becoming acquainted with them. And as Nate said earlier, I'm proud to actually call Sully a friend. He converses with us, whether it's on Game Stream. I mean, he's jumped in with us before, obviously. So really shouts out to Sully and the whole Funcast crew for being such awesome people and being so inviting into the community too.
We gotta get more of them on here. Anyway,
we definitely should. It's in the works. We're trying. Next question, which is already taking like 20 minutes of your time.
That's how we
Do
roll.
you have a favorite movie that has been made in your home state or province? This was from John at Night Marauder on Twitter. So thank you, John, for the question. Yeah. So anybody have a favorite movie that has been made or made about or filmed in? I think would be the best way to go about this one. Joey?
Yeah, mine's Deja Vu with Denzel Washington, where he plays the cop. I think he's like a detective or something, and it's like kind of like a time travel thing where he goes back to help solve a murder, I believe it was. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it takes place in New Orleans, and it's a very interesting take on the whole kind of time travel deal. If you haven't seen it before, it's a great Denzel movie to watch. It's probably available, I would think, somewhere to stream and check out.
Probably
that's right.
Amazon Prime Video or something.
Maybe, but yeah, that's my favorite one. That's based in, and I'm pretty sure it was filmed in too, New Orleans.
Cool. Clint, anything from the great state of Colorado?
So, I actually wanted to look it up. I think I've told this before on this one. A League of Their Own, a good portion of that was actually filmed at the college I went to.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, nice.
I love that movie.
That's really cool. That's a great movie.
So, I mean, I wasn't a student then, obviously, because I was younger. But so that was filmed there. But I was gonna jokingly say South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut, because that takes place in Colorado.
Right.
But
Really?
right, and it's
I
shock,
didn't
right?
know that.
But the movie that comes to mind that I really want to see, that I haven't, unfortunately, was Black Klansman, and that all supposedly takes place in Colorado Springs, which is an hour south of Denver, and I'd like to see that.
I started watching some of that, and I don't know what happened why I stopped watching it all of a sudden. It was interesting, the first part of it, but I don't think I ever finished it. I have to go back and check that out again.
And I mean, shit happens, right? So, but that's mine. But I'm actually looking through here. I'm surprised at some of these movies that were filmed here. But anyway, those are my answers. We'll let you guys keep going.
How are you, Ryan?
There's been
I miss Gary.
No. I mean, Gary, if you have an answer.
I can go, sure.
Yeah.
I actually had to look it up. Like, I know of certain films that were filmed in Toronto, like Suicide Squad, which isn't a great film, and Shazam was filmed here. Parts of the first X-Men with Patrick Stewart were filmed in Ontario. So there's a lot. I didn't realize was actually filmed in the GTA. The most recent one, the 2017 one. But the film that is probably my favorite, that actually where Toronto is actually Toronto, is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah, good pick.
Great one.
Because it's, because I thought of this question several ways, like you say, what's filmed here, but Toronto stands in for a lot of cities, like Chicago was filmed here. New York. But I chose that film because Toronto is it's not central to the story, but it's a very, very big part of the actual story, and they reference things like Pizza, and
Nice.
they filmed at Lee's Palace and stuff in around the city. They showcase the city itself as well as the actual movie. So that's my favorite. I
love movies where the city itself, the environment, almost becomes a character in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How about you, Ren? There's probably like a million movies filmed in Hawaii.
Yeah, I was gonna lead off by saying there's so many different films that have been shot here. Or
if you don't say 50 First Dates, you got to go. You can't be on the podcast anymore.
It is a good movie. Hi, I'm Tom.
It is a great movie.
It's a very good, very, very, very good movie. Most recently, this is not my favorite, by the way. I just want to take honorable mention since I'm not sure if everybody realizes this, but the Inhumans, that movie that turned into a miniseries for Marvel on ABC, that was actually shot primarily, a good part of it at least, the fight scenes were shot right down the road from my office in downtown Honolulu.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So pretty cool. We saw them filming it. Sometimes when I walk around during lunchtime, I'll see them filming Magnum PI, and I'll see the Ferrari driving around in downtown. But I'd have to say that my favorite would be the original Jurassic Park. It's from my childhood, obviously. It's a lot of nostalgia there. That's what we're all about.
Cool. Yeah.
So, original Jurassic Park.
Was dope. For me, again, like very much like what Gary said with Toronto, it gets stood in for a lot of cities, and like Vancouver gets stood in for like LA, San Francisco, even times like New York. Like, just it's silly, but I mean it's what it is. But my favorite movie that was filmed here would be Romeo Must Die. It's got Jet Li.
Oh, that's a great film.
Oh man, the soundtrack is awesome.
Yeah.
Too.
It's one of my buddies from high school. His brother was a stuntman in that movie. He gets killed like right in the opening scene, which is hilarious. And so it's there's a lot, and like there's filmed in Chinatown, like back when Chinatown was Chinatown. And I've already talked about this many times on the podcast, how I hate what it's become. But so it takes me back to a lot of what Vancouver used to be and what I remember Vancouver was growing up. So I think that really helped, and it's just a incredible movie. Go watch it if you haven't. Romeo Must Die.
I love
incredible
that
movie.
Yeah.
And get the soundtrack.
Yes, get the soundtrack. Soundtrack was
insane.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Is Aaliyah in that too?
She is.
Yeah.
Yes, Aaliyah was in this movie.
Thought so.
Yeah.
Lot of stars in this movie. So
what I like about living in Toronto, because they use a lot for Hollywood films, just walking around and seeing the sets. So where I live, it's close to the financial district, so a lot of the buildings there are used in TV and film. I mean, like I said, I talked about mentioned Suicide Squad earlier, and there was a scene that was filmed basically right beside my building.
Oh no way!
Yeah, I think it's the scene where what's his name? He gets his head blown off because he tries to leave the
right, yeah,
the guy that was
Slipknot? Yeah. Anyways, I think that was filmed like in the alley just next to us, and the scene where the helicopter is downed was like just down the street. So it's really cool just walking around the city and seeing this stuff.
Get to the choppa. I know it's the wrong movie, but
so that's
close enough.
Yeah,
close enough. Yeah. So yeah, always thank you everybody for the Ask the Dorksmen questions. We always love to hear from you. We love to hear what you guys have as answers as well. Where did you get your start in the geeky fandom? What's your first podcast? And absolutely share favorite movies from your cities or your where you're from. So we love to hear that.
What's funny is I already responded to Manny's post for the first question. He's already responded. His was Transformers.
Nice. Okay.
So Transformers, and his was the Nerd Foo as well.
Yeah. There you go. Shout out to Manny.
Quick response. Thanks, Manny.
Yeah. So after like half an hour of just catching up with everybody, we're actually going to get to the topic of our conversation today. So as you know, Gary is a massive comic book fan, huge comic book collector.
Not at all.
No,
I thought you were going to call him a comic book nerd, but that works too.
Was it like-
I will accept comic book nerd.
It's like 20,000 comics you have, Gary, something like that.
Not that much. Close
Like-
to 14,000.
He's like
Yeah.
19,500.
Oh,
Good.
oh, yeah, well, you know.
14,000. Okay.
Give or take 5,000 comics. You know,
Yeah.
that's not too bad.
That's not bad.
But we want to kind of get everyone's thoughts on comics and their adaptations to movies, and even graphic novels and their adaptations to movies and TV shows
And regular novels.
and
Let's
regular
not leave them
novels. Yeah, I mean, if
We
you
know-
read,
We,
if that's your
yeah,
thing,
we know you've never read a book that didn't have pictures in it, but
it's true.
some of us have.
Some picks, I've read a book with words. Even most books I read are just coloring books.
The ABCs do not count.
Fill it out myself. Right? Paint by numbers in a book.
A for apple is not a book.
It is a book. Come on, it's a short book, but it's a book. But yeah, so that's what we want to talk about today. All things written, transferred into all things movies, TV shows, and things like that.
TVs.
So
It's on multiple. It makes sense.
yeah. So right off the bat, let's go with what's your favorite book, novel, graphic novel, comic, whatever, adapted to a show or a movie. We'll start with our guest.
Yeah, let's let our guest go.
Oh God. Okay.
Put him on the spot.
Yeah, put me on the spot. Okay, so this one is interesting because it's not a comic book, but it's also not a book or novel that I've actually read. I just know that it's based off of something that was in print first, and that would be Shawshank Redemption.
Great pick. I didn't even
Yeah.
remember to put that one on my list.
Yeah, because the reason why I didn't choose like a comic book one is like it is an ad. I mean, most books that turn into movies, they're adaptations of the source material, but there's nothing that in the films that from the comic book ones that are direct adaptations. They take the central character like Wonder Woman, because I'm sure that's probably what most people would have expected me to say, and it is one of my top films. But the storyline that was in the Wonder Woman film is not something that is an actual storyline
Right.
in the comics. Now, what's interesting is that they're taking stuff from that film and incorporating it into the comics. DC's doing some really cool stuff right
Oh,
now.
that's neat. I didn't know. That.
Yeah, DC's retconning Wonder Woman's character to be basically the first superhero in the if you're talking just in terms of timeline. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I just thought Shawshank Redemption was it's a great film, like, right? You can't argue that it's not a great film. And the fact that it's based off of the Stephen King, I think it's a novella, right?
It is. It's a short story based on. It's named after the person that's in the poster that he hides the hole in the wall with. I'm trying to think of the name of it. I'm sure somebody can Google it real quick. But yeah, that's what it's based
Bingo
off
Square.
But yeah, so that would probably be my favorite that's been adapted into a film.
Yeah, see, I had the
follow
same.
that?
I had the same thing that Gary was talking about. Like when I was thinking about it, like when I was thinking about comic books, like because The Dark Knight is like it's probably still just above Endgame as far as, you know, favorite comic book based movie. But, you know, like Gary was talking about, this one, you know, it's not one comic or even story arc that was adopted. You know, it was, you know, several different ones. You've got a little bit, I think, from The Killing Joke. You've got a little bit from Year One. You've got a little bit from, was it Long Halloween or something like that? But if you think about it, a lot of novels that are adapted leave a lot of stuff out and change a lot of stuff and create new characters just for that. Like mine for novels is like Harry Potter. Like I love the Harry Potter series of books and I love the Harry Potter series of films. And I know Gary's a fan as well. But there's a lot of stuff from the books that did not make it into the film. And there's, you know, whole characters and whole storylines. And we're not even talking about just like subplots, you know, and B storylines. I mean, it's like big major stuff that gets left out. But, you know, you have to take all that with a grain of salt because it would, you know, be forever to, you know, adapt a, you know, full series like that. So
those books definitely got longer as you went on. So it makes sense.
Yes, they did. But yeah, that's my two answers for my favorite.
Good one.
What about you, Clint?
So I did go the comic book route, but I picked X2, and I did that because I've always loved the X-Men. I think you guys knew that. And I love just that it gave so much detail to the whole Weapon X, detail of Wolverine's origin story without actually having to go back and do Wolverine Origins, which didn't need to happen. So we already got it next too. And I love the interaction and the growing, and they talked about the Phoenix. It was it did multiple storylines that I knew about, but it was really well done, I thought. So I went X2 for that one.
Cool. Ryan?
I'm gonna stay with Jurassic Park, to be honest,
Good one.
because that was one of the few books that I actually read. What was that, like early high school years, like freshman? I actually read it. I found that parts of 1 and 2 were interswapped between the books. Like I think it was the beginning of number 2, where they I don't know the name of the dinosaur, the really tiny ones. They're running around on the beach chasing the little girl, and they, I guess, assume attack her. We don't see it happen on screen, but that was actually the start of the first book. So,
Interesting.
to add to Joey's point about things being switched and swapped around and all of that stuff, yeah, there you go.
I actually bought the book to read after this was like it was like one of the summers when that's what I was doing a lot, was just reading, and then I went through the Harry Potter stuff and I read it. I still have it. Haven't read it yet. I might need to pick that up and go ahead and give that a read, because I've heard it's really, really good. If you like the movie, they said
the books were actually very good.
And there's 3 books?
To my knowledge and recollection, yes.
Okay.
So like Fallen Kingdom and all of that is nowhere close to being lore as far as the Jurassic Park world goes.
Gotcha. Cool. How about you, Nate?
So I was going to say Jurassic Park because that's like just such a classic
You still
adaptation. Can. No, I'll let Ryan have that one.
Thank you.
But no, it's just something that like we share, right? Like the kind of fandom we share. But for me, honestly, it's like something recent with The Boys. So having The Boys graphic novel, reading it back when it got first published, I was like, man, they could never do this as a TV show, could they? Like, this is crazy. Like, this is amazing. And then when there was like rumors of it happening, I was like, okay, if someone picks this up, they could actually do something amazing with this if they can actually get away with it. And sure enough, it took some time, but with Amazon Prime being able to kind of flex the rules a little bit on what you can show on regular TV, they really, really capture the graphic novel to TV adaptation. I thought was really good. There's a whole bunch of different series amongst the Boys universe that they could still do, like there's like the Highland Laddie stuff, there's like the Herogasm, there's like all this other stuff around the Boys that I think like they could still do. But as it stands right now, that's definitely one of the ones in recent memory that I can remember that was adapted quite perfectly in my mind, from book to TV.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out right now that like I haven't read The Boys, and I actually haven't watched the TV series yet. But I also want to check out Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. Very good.
Another adaptation that I heard was pretty decent.
Yeah.
But I don't even know why I didn't think of this in terms of another favorite. Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I did. It just popped into my head now that I love those films, and it was Joey's comment about how you have to take out certain parts of the material because there's no way that they could do a straight adaptation of that.
Like a 15-hour movie just for like one book.
Yeah. Well, the extended versions of the movies are like 4 hours
Yeah.
anyway. So
The Hobbit is 3 movies. So
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I like the Lord of the Rings movies, but I don't ever, it's not like Harry Potter or Star Wars or the Marvel or some of the DC movies where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go pop that in and watch it again. Like, I have no desire to rewatch. The Hobbit, though, I like those more than the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, see where I didn't like The Hobbit as much as the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, see, a lot of people are on, Team Gary when it comes to that. Most people prefer the Lord of the Rings movies, but I'm more of a Hobbit fan. I don't know why, but I just like those more.
Yeah, and see, that's one that to talk about their connection about the geek stuff earlier. I read The Hobbit and the trilogy when I was a kid. So when they finally adapted it to film, I was like blown away by what they actually did. So I don't know why I didn't think of that in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right.
Hey, that's okay. You're
Yeah.
allowed to make mistakes on this podcast.
Well, it's not even a mistake. You're allowed to. Yeah.
I don't make mistakes.
There it is.
And
There it
Shawshank's still a really good answer.
Right. It's not like
Yeah,
you
it's
blew
true.
it.
Yeah, you didn't have a wrong. There's no wrong answer.
I was gonna
If
say,
someone
how
said
do you
hot
even
dog-
follow that answer? That's to me,
I
that's one
know.
of the best movies of
Yeah.
all time.
It's not like his answer was like, "Oh, Cat in the Hat." That's my favorite book adaptation movie of all time. I love Mike Myers.
Or Catwoman, the Catwoman movie with Halle
Ooh.
Berry.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us into least favorite. So,
Spirit. I'm
Yeah.
saying it now. And back to Nate. I hate you. Like you and I used to be friends, but I just
Right.
remembered
And
when
now
I was
hate
doing
you
my
watch the
research
Spirit.
for this that you made me watch that stupid movie. I mean, it had great people in it. Samuel L. Jackson was in it.
Yeah.
As some kind of weird Squid Ink person,
Yeah.
but that is the biggest load of trash ever. In fact, when I was looking it up, I think I've seen where they're going to try to redo it, and I'm like, I don't even know if I would give it a try. I don't care who you'd have in it. Like, I don't think anybody could possibly lure me back into trying to watch that movie a second time. A remake, a reboot, a sequel, whatever it was. It was just that garbage.
But speaking of along the same vein, another favorite that I should have mentioned was Sin City. Sin City was also incredible.
The first one was really good. The
Yeah, the
second
first
one,
one was
Yeah, that's all Spirit is like a fake knockoff. It's
Oh,
like
yeah,
if you,
it's a Sin
if you
City knockoff.
ordered Sin City on Wish, Spirit is what you would end up getting.
It's like the Hallmark version for sure.
Good
What I liked
analogy
about
there.
Sin City was the actual look of the film.
oh yeah, yeah.
Right? That's what
That was
really
definitely
cool
part of
about
it.
Yeah.
Hey, you'll love the look of the Spirit. The rest of the movies,
Because
No,
it's the same look.
it's the same
I
look.
know.
Yeah.
Just watch it on mute, apparently.
Yeah.
Or like 300. 300 has that, unique look to it that, really kind of sets itself and becomes a part of the movie itself too.
Mm-hmm.
But
Anyways,
yeah, Spirit.
the
nobody
Spirit
can
for
beat
Joey's
that.
answer. Yeah. Right. How about you, Gary? What's your least favorite adaptation?
Catwoman.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even Selena Kyle Catwoman.
No, not at all. Yeah.
I had to Google. See, I blocked this movie out of my mind, but it popped in when it was least favorite, and it's a character named Patience Phillips. It's like, and so to talk about earlier, it's like I know that a lot of comic book stuff is adaptations, but when it's like a totally different character that's
Right.
I don't even know if it was an actual DC character, Patience Phillips. It's just like that. I just want to wash that away from. And we know DC films are not the greatest generally, but that one was just,
the tip of the shit
Yeah.
iceberg.
Not even the tip. It's the
The whole thing.
basement or whatever it is. So it's yeah.
How about you,
So
Clint?
on the
sorry,
66, I'm sorry. On the 66 Batman version with Catwoman played by Eartha Kitt, is that Selena Kyle or is that a different character's name?
I'm pretty sure it was
Anybody
Selena Kyle.
I think it
don't know
was
if they
Selena
actually-
Kyle. Yeah.
I don't know if did they actually say her name or do they always just refer to her as Catwoman?
It might have, because I'm looking on IMDb and that's all it says is the Catwoman. It doesn't
Yeah.
have anybody else's alter ego name.
Yeah, I don't see. I don't remember like if they actually use the name the person's actual name in the show.
Because
It might not have.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a good question.
Now I have to
We
look
should,
that up.
should look that up, man.
On most shows, when they play like a dual role, like a comic book character or superhero, whatever you want to say, they'll usually say both
Right.
names in IMDb. But everything that I'm looking through just has one name. Like it just says the Joker or the Riddler. It doesn't say any real
Yeah.
name.
Even on Wikipedia, which we know we can always trust,
Hey, I can just
always.
go in there and change it for you right now if you want.
it just says the Catwoman played by
Yeah, it just
Julie
says the
Newmar, Lee
Catwoman.
Meriwether, Eartha Kitt. So yeah.
How about you, Clint? What's your least favorite?
I had two, and I'm trying to remember what the second one was. But the first one is Twilight. I never read the book, but the movies were just hard. And I've heard from numerous sources that have read the book that the book's better. There's more to it. Kind of the same thing. And I mean, part of it is probably casting. Kristen Stewart couldn't act her way out of a wet paper bag, but
Tell us how you really feel. Jeez.
she's horrible. Anyway, but I actually thought I almost called him Edward Cullen, his name of the character. Why can't I think?
Robert Pattinson.
Thank
The
you.
Batman.
I actually thought that was a
The
good
Batman.
the new
The
Batman.
Batman.
I actually thought that was a good casting call from what I could tell, but So it's not all bad, but oh geez, they're hard to watch.
He has that brooding.
He has that emo
look,
vampire
yeah.
look. It worked. Kristen Stewart. I don't know what she did to get the role. I don't like the other guy, Jacob, whatever his name is.
Taylor
Lautner. Yeah,
Taylor Lautner.
He couldn't act either, but they just weren't very entertaining to me overall, and they just were too outrageous. I think they could have been done better, and I'm sure people who read the book would agree with me. Gosh, I'm driving me nuts that I forgot the second one I had, but I had two. But anyway, that's mine. I'm going to think about it while you guys keep answering.
All right. Ryan?
I don't really have one. I'll agree with Gary. Catwoman was not a good movie. So I'll just keep my comments short and keep the rest of my negative
that's kind of all you have to say
banter
about it, right?
to say later. But yeah, since I don't really... Like, we've said before on past podcasts, if there's a movie that I really don't like, I either one, won't go watch it, or secondly, I just kind of block it out, so I kind of forgot how bad it was. So
just
I wasn't
section that part of your brain.
Yeah, I
just
didn't
whenever we have a worst of type of question or category, just skip by Ryan.
Yeah, skip me.
He's mentally blocked it out, or he likes it when nobody else likes it, type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to be negative about it. They tried hard.
But when Gary, to my defense, when Gary mentioned Catwoman, I'm like, that was a pretty piece of shit movie.
Yeah,
so
it was pretty bad.
I will co-sign that.
You could have said Thor Dark World. That would have been acceptable.
I would agree with that one.
I'm not going to throw any of the MCU movies into a dumpster fire type scenario.
I will.
We've talked about this before. It's okay to not like something that you're a fan of.
It's true. It's okay.
But it still served a greater purpose, is what I'm trying to say.
Did it, though?
That is my
defense.
What
purpose did it serve?
It brought in the ether.
Come on, dude. You could have brought that in the other Thor.
He said it did.
Yeah. You could have, but it didn't. So it still serves a greater purpose.
And it also gave that scene we had in Endgame.
Endgame, yep. You wouldn't have had that scene in the Endgame if it weren't for Dark World.
Yeah, it's still a dumpster fire, but whatever.
I agree, it's still a dumpster fire.
Thank you, Gary.
So
the guest is always right, and Gary's never wrong.
I'm never wrong.
Therefore,
I can still mute you, Gary. Don't forget, I have that power. I can still mute you all.
I didn't say one of the Iron Man films though. So
yeah,
there you go. Yeah, true.
Joey knows to dance around that one very carefully.
Iron Man 3 is not a Christmas film, and it's half garbage.
Hey, let's keep answering this question.
I gave you half. I said it's only half.
You got
garbage.
half points, half garbage. Least favorite for me. I honestly, it really pains me to see just how crappy the DC movies are, because they're really good characters. Like, I know people kind of shit on Superman and like, oh, he's just some super alien. I'm like, but he's like, if you read the comics and you kind of understand like the character, it's like he's pretty cool. Like he fights really strong villains, and he does a lot. And the movies just have not been able to capture that. So I think if I had to pick one, I'd have to say like the new wave of Superman movies really kind of kills the character for me a little bit. As a joke, I wanted to say 50 Shades of Grey, but I've never read or seen the movies. But
lies.
We're gonna watch that on Zoom later, Joey. Don't.
I was
gonna
say
away.
you guys may not be friends, but you're still kindred spirits. So
it's true.
That's
Do you want somebody
Zoom session, won't it?
to introduce you to their toy room, Nate? Is that what you're trying to say?
50 Shades of Nate.
Yeah. Show me your
50
toy.
Shades of Nate.
I think we found our title, gentlemen.
There you go.
There we go.
This is 50 Shades
most of
of
us
Nate.
are showing you our toy room right now.
It's true.
Maybe the podcast can be 40 Shades of Nate, since this is episode 40.
Yeah. There we go. 40 Shades
This
of
is
Nate.
40 Shades of Nate. There you go.
All right. There we go. I'm going to write that down real quick just because
I already
have
wrote
a
it down.
shit memory.
Well, pin a rose on your nose, sir.
All right. Anyways, did you think of the second one, Clint, that you were talking about?
No, I'll interrupt somebody else later.
Okay. So moving on with our topics here, what's something that you want to see made into a movie still from the written that hasn't been adapted yet? So if there's anything on your mind around that.
There's a movie. It's not a movie yet. It's one of those ones that sits in production purgatory, or whatever phrase you want to use. In other words, a movie that just they want to get made, Hollywood does, but they can't seem to do it. There's a book that we were forced to read in school, like you're always forced to read, called Confederacy of Dunces. and it's a book based in New Orleans. And they've tried to make it several times. Like Zach Galifianakis was attached to the main character. Ignatius J. Riley was the character's name.
Would it be funny?
Yeah, it's a comedy type thing. It's
Okay.
If you know what a comedy of errors is, it's kind of like that type of theme. But I think that's part of the reasons why it hasn't been filmed.
Yeah.
It's basically like what I was talking about earlier, where those movies where the setting, the city becomes a character itself.
Mhm.
That's very much what this book is, where the city of New Orleans is a character itself. And they visit a lot of like well-known New Orleans tourist spots, but like there's a big part of it that takes place at a Lucky Dog stand. So it's just stuff like that. And I think probably part of it is trying to make that adaptation to where it's actually a movie, because it could very easily be a movie about nothing. It could be like one long Seinfeld type of movie is kind of the plot. There is a plot like most Seinfeld shows had, but it's just a lot of random, I'm going to visit this place and I'm going to talk to this character and I'm going to talk to this character. And so there's not a lot of character development outside of him and his mother, who are two of the main characters. So that's probably part of the reason why it's so difficult. But I think eventually they could probably do it. I don't know if it would need to be, yes, Ron, we see the time. You can move the clock. I'm still talking. So I think it would be something that it would maybe be better served if you could do maybe like a short series on streaming or something like that. And you could always even adapt it and just write new material for it. But I've always wanted to see that adapted into film, and still hasn't been done yet.
Cool.
How about you, Gary? Do you have anything?
Yeah. So I didn't go with a comic book, but I went with something that's almost comic adjacent. It's a novel by Michael Chabon called The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. So it's a story. I'm reading this off of Wiki because they have a best description that it'd be easier for me to do it. So it follows the lives of two Jewish cousins, Czech artist Joe Cavalier and Brooklyn-born writer Sammy Clay, before, during, and after World War II. And in the novel, they become major figures in the comic industry when it starts in the golden age. So I think Michael Chabon took inspiration from like Siegel and Schuster, Jack Kirby, and incorporate some of that. So I think that would be kind of cool to see adapted into a film. It's a period piece, which usually does well too in terms of drama and stuff like that. Right. So I think that would be kind of cool. I saw that they tried to adapt it into a film at one point. It looks like people like Andrew Garfield, Ryan Gosling were in consideration for some of the parts, but it just never took off. So I think that'd be kind of cool to see.
Where's Ryan Gosling from again, Nate?
Somewhere very north and very cold.
Northern Washington.
Yeah.
Extremely northern States. Washington.
Upper
America Junior.
Yeah, America Junior.
America Junior.
How about you, Clint? You got anything?
So I do. I'm actually going to go comic book. And if you were with us for the pre-party, we talked about 90 comics being overproduced and glamorized. And this is actually one of my favorite comics is from that. It's called The Darkness. It was by Top Cow. And I think it'd be really neat to do a series or even a movie about it. It's hard to explain, but basically it's a guy who is born with this special power that really works well in the darkness, and there's a whole subplot with it. He's in the mafia already. He's like one of the biggest guys, so he ranks a great hitman. He can't have sex. He has demon friends. I know it sounds really weird, but it actually was very entertaining and probably one of my favorite comics that I actually read the whole series. So I'd like to see that. I think as a TV show it might work better, but I'm not Hollywood. I don't make that decision. But if anyone's listening, Witchblade and Darkness would be awesome.
I love what the streaming services have allowed to be adapted that probably would have never seen the light of day, if they hadn't come about. Would The Boys have ever been made into anything? Maybe an HBO show, possibly like Watchmen. But yeah, I love the fact that we're able to see a lot of stuff that, we may have never been able to see before, thanks to some of these streaming services being able to do things.
Amen.
What about you, Ryan? You got anything?
I do, and this is actually going to kind of tie into our fourth point as well, so I'll just mention we're talking about movies we still want made, or shows, etc., and may never get made. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard this story. Nate and Gary, you may have, being that the author is a Canadian-American. It's Sadako and the Thousand Paper Cranes. Have you ever heard of this?
Yeah, I think I have.
Okay. So for the other two, Clint and Joey, basically the synopsis is there's a young Japanese girl named Sadako who ends up getting leukemia as a result of radiation poisoning from World War II. And so she goes on this mission to make 1,000 paper cranes, and there is a Japanese tale that goes along with this that basically says that if you make 1,000 cranes, you'll be granted one wish. And her only wish was to keep living and be on the running team. I just think it'd be a very powerful story, and I'm sorry to kind of turn it to a somber note a little bit here, but this being of Japanese ancestry, the book means a lot to me personally within my culture, and I think it'd be a great uplifting story for a lot of people to see. And, you know, I am Japanese, so yeah, I'm kind of partial.
No,
You are.
that's cool. I would have never known unless you were on camera right now.
No, I'm Cambodian.
Oh
That's what it
shit!
is, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I think that's like
That's cool.
it's one of those things. It's a solid story. It's heartwarming, and it's also just it's very cultural for you, and it's very it's powerful, right? And I think it could resonate with a lot of people, regardless of their background or where they're from and stuff. So I think that's a great choice.
Yeah. It was one of the things that really shook the world at that point in time. And, given what we're going through currently with this COVID-19 pandemic, I think that's what kind of really struck me is that even though this was not man-made, well, supposedly, that's a whole different discussion.
Wrong place to talk about
That's a whole different discussion. But it, like you said, I'll just say it's a very powerful story. I think it'd be a great adaptation. But on the flip side, I don't think it'll ever get put into a film based upon
never
the
say
content.
never, Ryan, because I'm looking here and it says in 2019 a motion picture titled 1,000 Paper Cranes was announced to begin production.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Her and Sadako and how their lives are intricately connected. So
Ah,
now
You willed it into the world, Ryan.
granted, you don't know like whether or not like you said in this
It's gonna
new
get
world of
picked up,
COVID-19 if it's going to get picked up or if it's actually going to get but
That's cool.
it's cool.
I'm holding out hope.
Yep.
We will believe with you, Ryan,
Believe.
from a distance because we aren't allowed to be close to each other.
6 feet apart.
So for me, I think I would pick. I don't know if you guys read this back in the day. Scud, the Disposable Assassin. You guys
I
know
know
about
about
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a very short comic graphic novel that was mid '90s, and then ever since I saw it, ever since I've read it, I was like, man, this would make such great toys. It would make such great, he'd look great as like a vinyl figure. He'd look great as a Funko Pop or whatever. But alas, it's been like 11, 12 years now since they've wrapped the series. So there's probably no chance that it's going to come back, but it's something that I would really enjoy seeing if they ever were to bring it back up. So I'll let you guys Google it in your free time and
Google
you
it.
can take a look.
Would you want that as an animated film?
I think so. Yeah, I think it'd have to be animated. Yeah, just to keep with the original idea around it. Yeah, I think it would have to be animated. I'm not a big fan of the adapting it to live action. If it's a comic, if it's like just if it's done in drawing, I would rather have it be done animated versus having a real person do it. But sometimes they do it right, and a lot of times they don't. So it really just depends. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So that's pretty much everything that we had on the docket for comics and stuff. Wait, Joey shaking his head. You want to keep going because we're pushing the time, but we can keep going.
Nope, you're just reading too much or not quick enough. Whatever Clint's typing.
All right.
Let's do one more round.
All right. So what
we
we
want
want
redone
is,
at least, and maybe
okay,
just
let's
keep
do
it
that one.
short.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for redone, I've got kind of two. One that I want redone would be Harry Potter. Actually, I know they're talking about doing Lord of the Rings like this, where they're going to redo it on a streaming service, so they can get more of the source material in. And like we were talking about earlier, I'd like to be able to see them kind of dedicate more time to that. The other one has kind of been done, but not done. It's the Old Man Logan storyline. And I know some of that was, incorporated into the Logan movie, and not that I don't want you to think I'm saying the Logan movie needs to be redone, because that's probably for sure top 5 in my book as far as comic book movies are. But it's also one of the ones, like, I don't know if you could do it. It would have to be kind of like The Boys, where you'd have to probably do it on some streaming service because of how just insanely graphic some of that stuff is. And not only is it graphic, but some of the stuff's very taboo. Some of the things that take place, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I won't go into detail, but you can just look it up on your own as far as the stuff with Hulk, etc. It's some crazy stuff. So I guess you could leave that out, but I'd like to see a more thorough adaptation, especially with Wolverine being brought in with the Marvel license now, to where that was part of the problem before. Is that from, if I remember, wasn't it Hawkeye that was his main traveling companion during the Old Man Logan storyline, for any of you that are familiar with it?
I didn't actually read the series.
Ditto, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it was Hawkeye. So you could easily, actually incorporate that part into it now. So
Interesting.
That's my
Clint
2.
Barnes. All right.
Yeah.
How about you, Gary?
So I had 2. One I haven't actually seen, which is Green Lantern. But I heard
you don't need to, apparently.
Yeah,
I don't
I
watch
heard
it.
that
That
one was quite bad. So
Dumpster fire.
Because Green Lantern, surprisingly, it's one of my favorite comic book series, especially under Jeff Johns when he took that over and really revitalized that. So I think they could probably do some really cool stuff with that. It's encouraging that they're developing, I think, an HBO Max series, or I don't know if it's HBO Max, but they're developing some Green Lantern property.
I'm pretty sure it's Max. I saw something about that the other day.
So that's kind of one. The other one that I think that was they brought out too soon because they wanted to capitalize on the superhero stuff is Justice League. I think I liked the approach that Marvel took, which was introduce the characters first in their solo films, and then bring them together. Whereas Justice League, they threw so many new heroes that hadn't had their solo films, like Flash and Cyborg, and Aquaman's film hadn't come out at that point. I think they just did it too soon, and they didn't do the slow build. And I think if they had done that, maybe it would have been better.
Well, they hadn't done Wonder Woman either yet, had they?
They hadn't. They had Wonder Woman show up in Batman v Superman, which
right?
Yeah, but her movie hadn't come out yet.
Her movie hadn't come out.
Are you sure? I thought it did.
I'm pretty sure that Wonder Woman came out before Justice League.
Yeah, I think so too.
Did it?
I thought
maybe.
It did.
I'd have to look it up.
She was a really strong character in Justice League for that reason, I think.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'd have to look to exactly see when it was done. But yeah, I think they could do that again if they should just start it over again. So.
Agreed.
Right on. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. My answer is similar in the sense that it's something they've done before, and they don't even need to necessarily do it again. It's just they need to do it, either they need to add on to it or they need to redo it and do it right, and that would be Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I loved those books. I still do. They're amazing books. Douglas Adams is an awesome author. Loved reading them. And I would love to see the story continue, because there's 7 books in the canon, 6 of them written by him, 1 written by his grandson, I believe. But either way, they're out there, and there's some other good stories. And, the first story's been told over and over again. The most recent movie added some new stuff, but that was per Douglas Adams involved, but now unfortunately he's passed away. But I'd love to see, Restaurant at the End of the Universe. And actually there's a book called So Long, Thanks for All the Fish. And, I'd love to see all of that, because those are some great stories that continue the adventures of Arthur Dent and company. So anyone listening, again, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, we want it, make it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So polite. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Trying to be.
Almost like he's Canadian.
Sorry.
You said it, not me.
Sorry.
We don't want him. We don't want him. Ryan, how about you?
Even though it's likely in the pipeline and not been formally released yet, Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Yep.
I like the
choice.
rumors that John Krasinski's being touted for the
Mr.
Richard
Fantastic.
Reed.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
and Emily
character.
Blunt as Sue Storm.
That would be
that'd
a
be
great
cool.
combo.
Yeah,
that would be a
cool.
super
That'd be a
great
great combo. Yeah.
Can we bring Chris Evans back as the Human Torch
Yes, we can.
just bring chaos
Why
into
not?
the Marvel
Why
Cinematic
not?
Universe?
People will
Why
riot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great choice. Fantastic
that
Four
choice,
is a awesome series that they just couldn't get it right with the movies.
Well,
at all.
okay. The original even though it was overly comedic and everything, I thought that was way better
It was close.
than the
It
dark
wasn't
version
bad.
that they did. Because that was a piece of shit. It was god awful.
The most recent one with Michael
and
B. Jordan.
it's
and,
no
yeah, that
offense
was
to
real
the actors that played the
No.
roles, but the movie itself was just poorly written, and the storyline was just a dumpster fire piece of shit.
There you
I
go.
did not
There's a
enjoy
Marvel
it.
film that you just threw into the
Yeah.
dumpster fire.
However, it's not
Like
an
a Fox
MCU film, though.
technically. Yeah, right.
Okay, yeah, that's true. You did say MCU.
So
You
even
gotta
if
watch
I
technicality.
even if I was to shit on
Yeah.
one of the old Spider-Man movies that had Tobey Maguire in it, it's not an MCU film.
Okay.
I'm talking
Nothing's
more like the
wrong
MCU
with Tobey
canon.
Maguire Spider-Man movies. The Andrew Garfield ones, now that's a different story.
I was just using that as an example. I'm not saying that they
okay.
were bad. Yeah. not that they were bad. I do have a question for the viewers though before we move on to our other stuff here, because I'm curious. If they
They'd be
do
listeners,
Fantastic
first of
Four.
all.
Sorry, yeah, viewers, because I'm looking at you
And
guys,
if
right?
you're
Listeners.
expecting them to respond right now, I'm really worried about you. You need to check
We're
your
not on
temperature.
YouTube still, are we?
Yeah. It's clearly Sunday, and I don't know what day it is anymore because of this quarantine bullshit. But question for you guys that are listening, and please tweet us back or tweet to me
I'm listening.
specifically.
Do I count? I'm listening.
Yes, you do. Thank you. So, if they do Fantastic Four within the MCU, who would be your first choice for Victor Von Doom? Because they haven't really, made any rumors about like how John Krasinski is being rumored to be playing Mr. Fantastic, Richard Reed, right? Or Reed Richards. Hello. I'm curious what you
Hello.
guys think.
That's a good
Please,
question.
please weigh in on that. I'm very curious what you guys think.
There you go.
Good question.
Jensen's commenting.
Yeah, Jensen wants to be Dr. Doom.
Apparently so.
I think Jensen sang Eartha Kitt.
That's what I heard too.
Well, I heard you say Catwoman also sucks, and he's a cat, so he's not wrong.
Yeah.
And Iron Man 3 is not a Christmas movie. Perfect.
you shut
Well,
your
he
mouth.
just called. He just called.
I
Catwoman-
heard it.
I heard it.
I'm
You
gonna
guys know
mute
he
the
just
both
calls
of you.
Catwoman woman though, right?
Oh. For me, the ones
I'm
that
laughing
I
at
wanna
Nate's
see,
reaction, not my own joke, by the way.
that I
Sure.
want to see redone. And there's a few just that are really close to my heart, and two of them have been ruined by Michael Bay on the reboots. So Transformers and Ninja Turtles have been just destroyed by Michael Bay. So those are the two that are my biggest ones that I think we're definitely overdue for a proper redo. Ninja Turtles is just so close to my heart because that was like the first comic that I picked up when I was a kid.
Love that.
And there's so much more to it that they can do. They've done the cartoon where it's like, for kids. They've done the reboot, which I still would say is for kids. Let's do a proper
Yeah.
throwback to
And
the
make
comic.
it dark. I want it
Yeah.
to be dark and
Yeah.
gritty like the comic book was originally.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I like what they did with Bumblebee. I think that's them heading in the right direction for the Transformers franchise. And it was kind of like a soft reboot almost, if you want to think about it that way. They could definitely play off of that. And I had heard they were. I don't know if that's come to a halt now or what, but
Right.
I need to still see that. Okay.
Yeah, I know
very
Bumblebee's
good.
definitely
It's
worth
the
watching.
best one that's come out of all the Transformer movies, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I still have to see it.
Definitely
Haven't
watch it.
yet.
It's on Hulu right now, I think, if you have Hulu.
Noted.
No
Noted.
Canadian Hulu. Stupid Canadians.
You said it, not me.
Is
Yeah.
Canadian Hulu called Cthulhu?
Let's move on, shall we?
Finally, moving on now after I've screwed up all the messages that they sent me while I was trying to read through and host at the same time. I blame that on us being away for a week, but thank you for bearing with us, especially you, Gary, for being not usually exposed to this kind of nonsense on a weekly
Mutually
basis.
exposed.
I know you guys, so I know what you're all about.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
About.
The boot.
Yeah.
A boot.
And we apologize for that, Gary.
No, it's
Now
it's
wait a
always
minute.
great.
Gary said he accepted our invite to come back, so it's on him
true.
at this point.
That's
Yeah,
this
it's
is
true.
your
Yeah.
fault.
So
for
the
coming back.
punishment is your fault. Is that
I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong.
okay?
That's true.
Jensen
Yeah.
disagrees.
Jensen
Jensen
agrees.
disagrees.
It's
Yes.
like, why aren't you touching me?
Yeah, basically that's what he's waiting.
Is it it's brushing time for
It's pet
Jensen?
o'clock.
Brushing time, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
So that was a very fun discussion on comics, adaptations, books, novels, all things movies and comics, and Gary's wonderful giant collection of comics going into like 20,000 comics.
Yeah, nice.
And Clint's singing into his hamburger toy, which is
He was
very
scaring
weird.
me because he's a dinosaur, not singing into it.
Good lord, man.
Good lord. Anyways, Joey, what time is it?
It's game time. Get
No,
your
Ryan, it's
stuff
not
off
time.
the screen, Ryan.
Yeah,
Stop
it's
floating stuff across the screen. This is not a visual medium. This is an listening thing. It's a podcast that people have to listen to. Unless you want to take your whatever fantastic plastic and beat it against the screen and they can hear it that it's there. You are such a weird. I just want to tell you that. I love you, but you're a weirdo.
Oh, there
you
you go. Yeah, there you go.
All right, so the game. Stop, man. Jeez, Louise, man, you having a stroke over there or something? All right, this week's game is called Once Upon a Time. Pretty simple. The clue will be up to everybody. You're going to buzz in if you know the answer. Basically, I'm going to give you a literary character that could be novel, graphic novel, comic book, doesn't matter. And you will buzz in if you know who the creator is. So whether that's the author. I tried to stay away from comic book characters that there's like mutual credit for.
Oh, there's like
Spider-Man, you'll get, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee credited to it. So I tried to stick with ones where, according to my research, there's only one specific person credited to be in the creator of it. So,
this is gonna be terrible.
Some of
this
these
is
are
gonna be
easy,
awful.
some of them are not, but that's why we play the game. Okay, here we go. Oh, and if you guess right, 10 points. You guess wrong, minus 10, and nobody else can answer for that particular clue. And there are 20 rounds altogether.
Wow.
This should go quick. There's just one clue.
Got it.
So, first character, Mowgli.
No.
Clint.
No.
Too bad.
Yeah, I was
buzzed in
thinking.
there, buddy. You
I-
buzzed in.
it's not Walt Disney, so
Nope.
no.
Anybody know who wrote the Jungle Book?
Nope.
I probably
No.
know once you actually say the name.
Rudyard Kipling.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
As soon as you said it.
All right. Next one. Hercule Poirot. I may have pronounced the last name wrong. Gary?
Is that Agatha Christie?
It is Agatha Christie.
Oh,
Very
nice.
good, Gary. Next. Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
Oh, shoot.
Gary's gonna win with like one answer here.
We almost got Gary to curse.
Almost. There's still
There's still time.
17
There's
rounds.
We still got 2 more hours of this podcast to go.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
It's Richard
It's-
somebody.
And I may mispronounce the last name, but it's A.A. Milne.
Yeah.
Or Milne. M-I-L-N-E is the name.
Yeah.
Christopher Robin.
Shame on y'all.
Oh wait.
No.
It's going to be
All right.
terrible.
Samwise Gamgee. Clint?
That would be Tolkien.
Very good, Clint. Disappointed in you, Gary.
I was too slow.
You were. You got to slap your head quick.
I just
know.
wanted to get out of the negative at this point.
Next one. Garfield.
Oh, I
Oh,
think it was name.
Ryan.
Jim Henson.
No.
No, close. Jim Davis. Jim
Yeah,
Henson's
Jim
the
Jim
bad
Henson's
guy.
Muppets.
Yeah, I was thinking.
I
just
thought
Jim.
the same thing.
yeah,
I didn't know
it's
it
like
was right.
Jim. Yeah,
If I said
That's a
Jim
good
Lee,
guess,
then Gary would have shot me.
Yeah, I would have.
His facial reaction on that also added to the laughter. Trust me.
Jesse Custer, a.k.a. The Preacher.
God.
Oh, God.
If you're gonna say something, Clint, you got to hit your head.
Well, I didn't. So there you
Yeah.
go.
I'm going to take a guess.
Gary?
Is it Garth Ennis?
It is. Very good, Gary.
Wow.
Exactly
Damn.
correct.
This
I have
game
the
was definitely
entire book series in my closet that I haven't read yet.
Really?
Yeah, I bought the entire.
I stopped
Preacher
watching
series.
the show after about 2 or 3 seasons. I need to go back and finish it.
Mhm.
All right, here's a throwback. Oliver Twist. Come on, how do y'all not know y'all's
I
classic?
can't think of his name.
It's like,
Jeez, Louise.
Shoot.
Clint?
Dickens.
yes.
It is Dickens. Very good.
I wanted to say, I was thinking of something else, but yes.
So for the listeners, it's so much easier when you're listening and when you're actually playing. It's like your brain just goes to crap.
No excuses,
It's
Gary. No excuses. Even still, you're winning.
Next up, Spawn. Gary.
Todd McFarlane.
Very good, Gary. Exactly correct. Todd McFarlane. Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, this I definitely don't know.
Oh shit!
He did curse this
Hey,
time.
Gary swore.
Yay!
Gary.
Brian O'Malley.
Very good. Brian Lee O'Malley is correct. Very
It's
good.
not
Gary.
Michael Cera. Oh.
Let's see. Next, Ron Weasley. Clint.
Oh, Rawlings.
Say that name one more time or spell it.
It is J.K. Rawlings.
Yes, I'll give that to you. That's very good.
There's no S, I think.
I don't think there is either, but
Yeah, it's just J.K. Rowling, but I gave
Rowling.
it to you anyway.
Close
Well,
enough.
it's J.K.
Hesitated.
Rowling's
Oh.
book, okay? Her Rawlings creation, apostrophe S. It's ownership. It's English.
All right. Hellboy.
Oh,
Come on, Gary. Yes.
Gary.
I heard that.
Mike Mignola.
Very good. Exactly
Wow.
correct. The Tick.
Ooh.
Love that cartoon series.
I
I haven't
do
watched
too.
the
I
Amazon
do.
Prime live action.
Was that any good?
I don't know. I haven't seen it. That's
I need
all.
to see that too. Yeah, I love the cartoon.
Boon!
I still like Chairface Chippendale as a villain.
Stay on topic. Come on.
We are the Tick. I don't know. Gary, do you know? I mean, this is your game, so do
Yeah.
you know?
It's kind of
I
rigged.
actually don't know the Tick. So
It's-
I know the character, but I've never read it. So
It's Ben Edlund.
Oh,
Next, Arya Stark.
oh, I can't think of his name. Thank you.
Nate.
George R. R. Martin.
Very good. Exactly correct.
I knew the initials, but I couldn't think of his last name, which was very simple.
This one surprised me. I didn't know this one. Electra.
okay, I know the character, but I don't know who the creator is.
I think one of the other
Actually,
guys need to guess.
It's actually somebody that's more known for graphic novels. It's actually Frank Miller.
Really?
Oh
wouldn't have
yes,
guessed that.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm not gonna pull this lie that Gary's like, oh, I knew that.
No, I actually what it's once it's said, it's like it pops into your head, right? That
Right. Yeah, I get you. I'm kidding.
All right, the next one. Sherlock Holmes.
This one seems very obvious.
Yes.
Gary?
Arthur Conan Doyle.
That's
Very
right.
good, Gary.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I love Sherlock
I don't
Holmes as a
know
kid.
authors.
Oh, I
and
love the
all of
series with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Well, I like the movie with Ryan's
Yeah.
role model.
Yeah, it's
those
pretty
are
good
great
too.
movies.
He's
Yeah.
funny in it.
The TV show has more dry humor. But
Isn't Martin Freeman in there too? Isn't he watching?
yes, he
Yes.
is. It's very good.
I need to see that
you
then.
Enjoyed the movies with why can't I think of Ryan's hero's
RDJ.
name?
Robert Downey.
Robert Downey Jr. If you like the movies, you'll like the TV show. I promise.
But what about the Sherlock movie with Will Ferrell and
Oh
John
my
C.
god!
Reilly?
No.
I haven't seen it, but I've just heard it's awful.
Next, James Bond.
Ooh, I don't know.
Gary.
Ian Fleming.
Ian Fleming's correct. Gary is just
Just
y'all.
dominating.
Do we even
we've
need to
never
play
had
out
a
the rest of the game?
The next closest was Clint when he was playing the Family Guy quote game
Yeah.
the other week. But I mean, Gary's even putting that
Mopping
in
it.
shame.
Yeah.
All right, Willy Wonka.
Oh, I should know this. I used to love those books. Damn it.
Gary,
Roald Dahl.
Ah,
very good. Gary.
yeah, see?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Now I know exactly how you feel.
James,
Gary.
right? It's, once you hear the name, it's like oh,
Yeah,
that's
he's-
right.
Yeah.
Charlie.
I'm like, yes, that's right. Ronald Dahl. Anyway.
Next
Johnny
one,
Depp.
Tom Sawyer. Clint.
That'd be Twain.
Mark Twain is correct. Very good, Clint. Dracula.
Um,
Ryan.
probably wrong, but Bram Stoker.
Bram Stoker's
That's it.
correct.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Ryan, you're back at 0.
Yes, I was gonna say.
Congratulations, sir.
I got a
Hey, you can
donut.
participate in Final Jeopardy now.
Last one. Peter Malark.
Malarkey.
Oh,
I know. Yeah,
Oh,
I don't remember the.
I don't remember the
name.
author's name.
I couldn't remember the name either. Clint?
Collins?
Suzanne Collins, excuse me, is correct. Very good.
Very good. Yeah.
So at the end, we have Ryan with 0, Nate with 10, Clint with, I don't know, 30 or 40. I kind of lost track on Clint's.
Doesn't matter.
And our winner, our best bud of the podcast,
Ding, ding, ding,
Gary,
ding, 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 ding.
of 80 points. Very good.
Damn.
Jeez.
That's it? I thought he was going to have like 120, 130 or something like
Well,
that.
he did
was
get one
nailing it.
wrong, right? So he actually offset by
Oh.
10 points a little bit.
Okay. Still,
Which one
wait.
is it?
Still, that was
Did I get
a.
wrong? Did I get one wrong?
I
don't
thought you
think
did.
so.
Oh,
No, I don't
maybe
think so.
I just saw it
Still.
correctly then.
I guess well,
There
I
was
know I
one
took.
he wanted to answer, but he never slapped his head.
Yeah.
I know
Mm.
Ryan and I
That's
both missed one and had to make that up. So that's
Yep.
6. So that makes sense. Wow. Well done, Gary. Congrats.
Thank
and that
you,
was
thank
that
you.
was a cool game, Joey. Well,
Yeah, I like
well thought
that.
Yeah, it
through.
was really fun.
I was expecting all comic book authors, and I mean,
Yeah, and I was
Gary would have
expecting,
won
like-
that too. But
Yeah.
No, actually, you know what? I probably would have lost that one because, again, I don't. It's bad to say I don't really pay attention too much about who created the characters.
Yeah.
So
it's easy to do. I mean,
Like I said, the difficult one with that is there's sometimes 3, 4, 5 people associated with the creation of
Yeah.
some comic book characters because you talk about the story person and then the person that designed them and then
Right.
the
Yeah.
other.
because it's usually a combination of the writer coming up with the character and then the artist designing it. So they
Right.
usually give
Yeah.
both a writer and artist credit for it.
I'm actually
Um,
surprised there wasn't a Stan Lee though.
I couldn't find one that only he's credited with. Because
That's
I
interesting.
specifically Googled Stan Lee, like, who he created and created by himself. Every one he created had somebody else, usually Jack Kirby, associated with it. So,
Right.
Mhm.
Interesting.
anyway,
Oh, thank you
That's
for the
cool.
research. Thank you for putting that
Yeah.
together.
Joey, your games
No
are
problem.
always fantastic.
100%
well, I'm glad you
agree.
like it.
But yeah, thank you, Gary, for dominating and destroying. us
Yeah,
at
thanks
that
for
game.
coming and beating us senseless, Gary.
Yeah, and thanks for-
Anytime, guys. Anytime.
Didn't he do that the last time he was on
no,
too?
I lost. See, I have to make up for my loss the last time I was on.
I think you
Ah,
lost him.
That's
I
right.
came in second, and
And
Kelly
that was
is
a
the one that wiped the floor.
Gary-themed game.
And it was
Yeah, that was a Gary
themed
themed game as well.
Well, I think
I
this was a
lost it.
Gary
Wow.
themed game too, to be honest.
Well, no, the answers all were Gary.
yeah,
Yeah.
Gary Oldman or
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, the Gary Shandling and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Joey. Game is great as always. Thank you, Gary, for being here and hanging out with us and taking time out of your day to just listen to us talk about nonsense and joining our talk about nonsense. We
And
really
thank
appreciate
Jensen for letting us borrow you.
it. Yeah.
Special guest appearance.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, Gary, where can people follow you?
So on Twitter, I am GL_Faraday. I sometimes feel like I want to change that to get rid of the underscore, but and then on Instagram, I'm Faraday's Finds. And again, there are times when I think about changing that to align with the Twitter, but right now that's what they are.
Well, either way, check him out because he had some great Dorkman Photos a Day Challenge photos in there for sure. So, and he posts other fun stuff. So, I'd suggest following him.
and he's a great guy in general. You should be following him.
Oh, thanks,
Exactly.
guys.
Exactly.
Hallelujah.
And also, early happy birthday to Gary.
Yes.
His birthday is going to be during
thank
this
you.
week. So
Thank
happy
you, thank
birthday,
you.
Gary.
I hope,
we
I hope
won't
32
tell the world.
treats you well, right, man?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't look a day over 18. And
Aging like fine wine.
Yeah.
Got that
I don't
good
mind
Asian
saying how
blood in
old
your
I am.
I know you don't, but anyway.
Yeah. So so make sure you guys are following us on Twitter, Instagram, _Dorksmen. We'll get you those prize packs for the Dorksmen Photo a Day winners as soon as we can. This episode will be live on Monday. And what else do we got? Oh yeah, bingo. Play along, dorksmanbingo.com. And continue interacting with us on Twitter. We'll probably be doing a game stream at some point this week. I know Clint wants to jump back in there. He's itching to get in there. I know Ryan's got some stuff on the go that he might want to try to jump in and do a game stream or two as well. So make sure you're following us on mixer.com/the_Dorksmen. Is it the_Dorksmen?
It's the _Dorksmen.
Yeah, the_Dorksmen on mixer.com. Follow us there and be notified once we go live for that if we do decide to do that this week.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything? Anyone got anything else to say before we wrap it up
Do
today?
you have a sign off?
For bingo, we are not all wearing headwear today. Just FYI, guys. There's only 2 of us wearing hats, so
I
no
feel
square
better
for
that
you.
it-
Sorry,
Yeah.
but free square. Punch out.
Oh, we
No.
almost won. We almost won a full office. Almost.
Actually, that's 2 squares because I forced
That's
something.
2 squares.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan.
No,
boy,
don't do
Ryan.
it.
No, stop.
Do
stop.
it. Do it.
Quit it.
I
Stop
already did
it.
it.
Stop.
Nobody heard you because we're yelling.
Oh,
That
that
boy,
boy,
right?
right.
Anyways, thank you guys for listening. We're happy to be back, and we'll hopefully not go another week without sitting down and recording and hanging out. So, with that, that's my secret. I'm always angry.
Spoon.
Word homies.
Please, no gang signs.
Bye.